G'day viewers, my name's Graham Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists in Australia do what they do.
G'day Barry.
G'day mate.
How are you mate? Good to see you.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, I rode all the way in the rain to get here. Did you hear the Harley coming up the street?
Oh, it took me ages to get down.
With a house this size, it must have done. So, can I come and have a look what you're doing?
No.
Oh, thanks very much. I rode in the rain to get here, you know that, don't you? Thanks, pal.
Good to see you.
You too. Great stuff, mate. We begin. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to an amazing artist, Barry Mason. Barry, thanks for being on the show today.
Pleasure.
We're going to go through pastel painting with Barry today. This man, without a doubt, is a master of light as far as I'm concerned. Your work is just quite extraordinary.
Thank you.
Before we move on, I'd like to know a little bit more about your history. Boy from Orange. Started your own graphic design company in 82, was it 1982?
Yes, 82.
This is really at the cusp of when computers started to come in as well?
Exactly.
And photographer as well?
Yes. Basically my art career with graphics was right throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
After I left Orange. And it became a very handy background
Sure.
for me to do my painting when I retired.
Okay.
But I've always loved to draw.
Yeah.
Cartoons, illustrating, but I've always had an affinity with the Australian bush.
Yes, I can see that in your work.
And the coastline too. So each year I'll spend about a week out in the bush,
Yeah.
just travelling around gathering material,
Yeah.
and coming back and putting it into art.
Well, the fact that you're a very talented photographer as well, that obviously helps you to sort of reinforce the fact that you're getting the images that you want to portray in your pictures as well.
It certainly does help.
Yeah, you really are a master of oils, pastels, just about all of the mediums from what I can see. But as I said, the thing that I am amazed about with your work is your ability to capture light with paint. It really is just wonderful.
I just love painting.
It's just wonderful.
Thank you.
Now when you start these, this is the image that we're going to be working on today, but you actually start from a pencil drawing now, and you use your photography,
Yes.
you take your shots, but you use those photos to obviously transfer them onto a pencil sketch.
That's
using
right.
your artistic license to design an idea to bring back to the situation here.
I like to change the photograph
Yeah.
to what I feel is a right composition, how I feel I want to portray the painting.
Okay.
And to do that I need to change the composition, put different elements into it and what's in the photograph.
Yeah.
I can show you if you like.
Let's go and have a look. All right, mate. Well, here we are. You've taken your photo, and this is, whereabouts would this actually be, this particular photo?
It's out of Lismore.
Yeah.
I thought I could do something with it.
Yeah.
So I just took a photograph. I have manipulated it a bit on the computer
Yeah.
to enhance it a bit more. But when I look at it, I think to myself, well, I need to do a sketch of it
Yeah.
because I need to change some of the elements in there.
What type of paper are you using?
Oh, it's just an ordinary sketch pad, which is a very common sketch pad you can buy anywhere.
Oh, okay, sure. And you've got your gum rubber?
Yep.
And what type of charcoals do you use?
They're just charcoal pencils.
Yeah.
They're called Pitt,
Okay.
and they're all different brands, and they have different weights.
Okay.
And I like the charcoal because it's free to use, and you can darks and lights and all sorts of things.
So you've still got a little bit of work to do on this one?
I do, yes.
Let's have a look.
I don't put a great deal of detail in here, just maybe to emphasise where the light is coming from.
Yeah.
And where maybe the shade could catch, put some darks, and the light could also then catch. The light will be coming from this direction here.
Okay.
I've determined that, and maybe I might bring some light reflected from the sky through into the background to emphasise the buildings.
Sure, sure. We can go from here now over to there.
Okay.
And we'll continue the process with the pastels.
Fine.
Great stuff. Well, here we are. Now, black paper. Obviously, that is what a lot of pastel artists use.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
A lot go a lighter and work towards their darks by putting their darks in. I tend to prefer the black because it already establishes the darks for me, and I can then play around with the colours and use the darks, the black, to form the shadows.
What type of paper is it?
It's a simple mine tente, it's called. It's, I think it's a French paper, and it has two surfaces. One is a ripple surface and the other is a smooth surface.
I'm noticing you've got a white pencil in your hand.
Yes, that's a what I referred to earlier, a pit pastel.
Okay.
And it's made by Faber-Castell.
Yeah.
And I find it's perfect for laying in just the rough details.
You've got your pastels here. Now this looks, this is sort of very schmick, and you actually do have schmick colours in there as well, don't you?
Schminky, yes.
Schminky, that's right.
Yes, I do.
And these are Winsor & Newton?
Winsor & Newton.
And you've got some Rembrandts here as well?
Rembrandts.
I mean, they're just beautifully boxed, aren't they, as well? Just
yes,
it's magnificent.
It's a great box.
Where do you go from here, as far as after you've sketched out your initial drawing?
Well, once I've got the initial drawing all established and I'm happy with it, and I'll rub out, put in, add, I then start to lay the colours in very lightly.
Okay.
And I'll wander all over the canvas, just establishing a colour there and a colour here in very light tones.
And you're just really building the foundations in?
I'm just building it up.
Okay.
Very slowly.
Well, let's. I'm going to take a seat and I'm going to watch what you do.
Okay.
Do you refer back to the photograph a great deal? I mean, because there seems to be a lot of information stored in your head right now. So will you refer back to that photo as a guide to get you through?
Very rarely.
Okay.
I'm forming in my mind how I want this to appear. I've put rocks in which weren't in the photograph. Now, they may stay in or they may not. So it depends on what happens down the track.
My question would be then is, how do you get rid of pastels? Do you just brush them off? Or?
Well, I'd have to make up my mind at the next stage.
Oh, okay.
Whether they stay in or not.
Could end up being an old tractor before we're finished.
Well, that's right.
Okay.
I enjoy this stage because I'm then turning it into my own work rather than just copying from a photograph. I'm now putting my creativity, if you want to put it that way, into this creation.
An artistic licence is really what it's about.
Artistic licence. Yeah. There's nothing like it.
So we're going to let Barry work on this for a while longer, and we're going to go to a short commercial break, and when we come back I'll ask him some more questions about how he puts the sky in and how he's utilising these colours, and we'll go from there. We'll see you when we get back. Welcome back, viewers. We're going to watch Barry continue to block in the rest of this picture, and we're going to go along with him for the ride.
We introduced a little bit of yellow down here. So that gives me a very rough idea at this stage on the lighting and where I want the lighting to fall. And I want the lighting to come through here and I want the lighting to come over here. So I'll now wander down to the trees and start to get the basic of the trees in there.
What inspires you most of all? I mean, obviously the Australian landscape is a great passion for you, but what initially got you into art? Was this a passion that you had as a child?
Oh yes.
Was?
Yeah. Cartooning was basically my main interest.
Okay.
Cartooning. The drawing came after a bit more experience in graphics and commercial art and advertising and marketing, packaging design and all those sort of things. Mm-hmm. The art was always prevalent in everything I did, but since I've retired, the art that I'm doing now is a release from that controlled commercial art aspect that I used to be under in the graphics. Now I'm much freer.
I can see that you've got a piece of white tape across the bottom there. Can you explain why you actually taped it off in that position?
I'm glad you asked that.
I thought you might have been.
You asked that. Maybe the viewer might be wondering what it is.
On earth is that black tape?
Originally I was going to do down to there, the whole painting, but when I stood back and looked at the initial outline, I thought to myself, well, it looks better if I crop it off there and tighten up the composition. So I'll just leave that there, and when they frame it, they can just cut that bit off.
Not a problem. Okay.
Okay.
So you just sort of clean that up at the bottom?
I'll clean that off at the bottom, yes.
Cool.
So that it doesn't look like part of the picture.
Okay, that sounds great.
This is artistic license.
Again.
Again.
All right, Barry, well, you've sort of really made some progress in putting all of those, I suppose you'd say, basic colours, foundation colours down. Where do you go from this spot now?
Just almost ready to move to putting heavier colours in, but first of all I think I'll blend the sky.
Okay.
Because that will set the whole tone then for the rest of the colours. And this is the only part of the painting that I will smooth out.
Yeah. Are you trying to get rid of all the lines, or you want to keep some of those there?
Yes,
you are?
I'll try.
Okay.
I might actually have to put a bit more colour in there to get it to interact more smoothly.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll find that temperatures can react with the pastels that you're putting down.
Yes.
And find that you probably need a bit more colour in some cases just to make it work a bit better.
Pick it up. So Barry, which of the pastels that you use is the one that you prefer most of all? Which is the one that gives you the best result out of all of them?
It doesn't come down to a particular brand, it comes down to the softness. As I work towards the finish, I like to get a really soft pastel to give me those highlights. I can push into it without scratching.
Sure.
And Schmenke's one, and Art Spectrum, they also have some soft range.
Yes.
And Winter and Newton, of course, also have. So, and some colours will not do that. Some particular pastel will be constructed of a material that makes it so hard that it becomes a very scratchy type of pastel.
Sure.
And that's one I try to avoid.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, as you can see, Barry's been putting more colours down and working on that sky. That sky's got a beautiful hue to it now. Barry, it's quite lovely.
It's starting to work, I feel.
Yeah.
The colour is now allows me to determine the colours right through the rest of the painting.
Definitely. Where do we go from here?
I keep firming in. I start strengthening the colours now.
Okay.
And particular lights. I'll concentrate on the lights first and get some strength going in them, and then I'll come down, do the foreground, and because the light will also be a part of that.
From what I can see now, Barry, that beautiful lemon green and yellow that you've got there is really starting to focus the painting for you.
Through there.
Yeah.
It's starting to bring the light through.
Yes.
Onto these items.
Yeah.
That's where it'll finish, and maybe a bit in the background. And then I'll come through and put the light in the foreground, which will be coming through this way.
Okay.
I think you can basically use artistic license with light direction, because light can be filtered through objects and fall in here or in there or there. Even though the light might be coming from behind there, it still can bounce around.
Yes, it's lovely.
This is the intense part of the painting, where you suddenly think, is that the right colour?
Yes.
And as soon as you put it on and you say, not the right colour, well, you go and search for the right colour.
You go back to your box of many colours.
You go to the box of many colours, exactly. No matter how many pastels you have in your collection, you'll always find there's one that you need, another one that you need.
Okay, Barry, well, I think we're going to duck away for another commercial break, and we'll be back very shortly. See you soon.
Great.
So the tank there, or the hopper, whatever you'd like to call it, the roundness. The big question always is, artists say, how do you get the roundness in something like that? Can you explain that to me, please?
Yes, it's light and colour. The highlights will give the where the light is hitting, of course, but then the shadow area is gradually blended so that it has a roundish appearance to it.
Okay.
And I've used an orange and a darkish red there to just give that light roundish effect. I'll probably just work on that a bit more just to refine it.
Okay. Well, you've really moved along there with it quite well there, Barry. It's really, I mean, as you said, you've put more light into the bottom corner here. It really looks very, very dramatic now. You can see that there's shadows coming across, the blues in there, and then the yellows and the oranges for the light. That's become really quite a wonderfully subtle picture.
And I've decided to keep the rocks in.
They were plaguing you there for a while, weren't they? Maybe yes, maybe no.
They were yes and no for a while.
I said to him, he said, "You look, you've got rocks in your head if you don't do that." They look great. So how much more do you feel that you've got to do with this particular piece now?
Well, sometimes I'll keep going, or sometimes I'll just step back and I'll sit it there. It could be a day, maybe even 2 days. And I'll just keep walking by and just looking at it and thinking, well, until something comes into my mind, and I'll go back and I'll say, well, that needs to be lightened down a bit more. This needs to be finished off a bit more here. And of course I've got to bring the background through here.
So reflection is very important.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
It just looks wonderful, it really does. Beautiful scene.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about your photographs as well.
Well, I exhibit my photographs, and I'm actually now putting them up on canvas, stretch canvas.
All right.
I'm a member of the Federation of Camecods as a judge.
Right.
So I go around the different areas, different clubs, on invitation, and judge the work, the way the photography is coming through. I still get a kick out of that, because you see how progressive photography is coming along.
Looks like you've got purple flowers coming out there, or little
I'm not sure, but I can see a lot of purple in there, just in that corner down there, yeah, just in there.
Yes, I'd like to try and get various colours in there, try to get a bit of colour into the foreground.
Yeah. You can definitely see that wonderful effect of light as it's moving across the picture.
Coming through, which I probably would even accentuate a bit more in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
By just putting a bit of warm colour. See how
wonderful.
that just lifts?
Yes, it does. So what would you generally sell a painting like this size for? I mean, you obviously have to have these framed, and being pastels. Do you spray your pastels at all?
No.
You don't?
No,
So
I don't.
that's it as it is there?
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
But generally, what would a picture like that framed, what would you sell that for?
Well, it's 1,200 to 1,500.
That's very reasonable. Very reasonable, yeah. Great price, because I know that the framing's very expensive anyway, just regardless, but that's just
I
great.
think you clear about, out of a $1,200 painting, I think you clear about 700.
Okay.
If you sell it through a gallery, well then you've got to pay commission also.
Well,
So maybe 500 would be more realistic through a gallery.
Sure. Well, this is the beauty about colour in your life. The whole country can see what you're doing now, and they have access to you, obviously through our website. And if they choose to come in and I use the word invest, particularly when you're a professional artist. You know, everybody that we have on the show are professional, practicing, full-time artists, and as far as I'm concerned, when they purchase your work, they're investing in your work.
Yeah, well,
that is a much better way to look at it.
That's a good attitude, yes.
So when you go to frame your work, there's a bit of an art in framing pastels.
Yes, a good framer knows how to do it, and they frame it so that the mask doesn't come actually in contact with the painting itself.
Okay.
So any loose pastel, and there will be some loose pastels where there might be a flick like that and it leaves a bit of deposit, that might eventually fall off and it'll go down behind the mask.
So you won't see it actually
So you won't
sitting.
see it in the glass.
Oh, there you go, okay. Unless they tip the painting upside down for whatever reason.
It'll go back.
And it flows back the other way.
Go back the other way.
Yeah, too much. Well, Barry, just a wonderful work, mate. You've done a great job. Master pastel artist, master light artist as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much for having us in your home today, mate.
Pleasure.
It was a pleasure, it really was, and
Enjoyed
you're
every
an
minute of it.
extraordinarily talented man.
Thank
You really
you.
are. As I've said, if you would like to see more of these artists, if you want to come in and inquire about Barry's work, you can come to colorinyourlife.com.au and see all of these artists. Great deal more stuff in there. There's some really wonderful things going on the website these days, so make sure you come and have a look. Until next time, remember, make sure you put some colour in your life.